Battle through the heavens. Grand world. Chapter 278 Discussion. The realm in valley was filled with clouds and mist, like a paradise. The origin monarch key here. Compared to the best heavenly peak in the outside world, the origin monarch key here was several times denser. Because of this, the 10 students here were all very strong. However, the thick origin monarch key only served as a supplementary effect. Their innate talent was truly monstrous. At this moment, the 10 main mountains were filled with multicolored light. The origin key was boiling. Yuan Tianmu, Wei Li, Sukingwu, and a few others were standing on their respective mountain peaks. Their eyes were looking at the mountain peaks in the deepest part of the mountain. Although no one was standing on the other mountain peaks, everyone's eyes were also looking at them. Oh, a simple word was heard, and then there was no sound. The crowd was astonished. These guys are getting more and more arrogant. Wei Li stood on the peak of the mountain, lowered his head and let out a long sigh, whether it was Lin Dao or Mu Yuyang. The momentum that they had was not something they could compare with. We are both students of the realm in valley. Why is the gap between us so big? Wei Li was depressed. Although he was the 6th expert of the realm in valley, he was nothing compared to Lin Dao and Mu Yuyang. Alright, let's all go and cultivate. Even if it's a saint rank trial participant, it depends on whether it has the ability or not. After a moment of silence, Mu Yuyang's voice once again rang out from the deepest part of the mountain. The only difference was that this time, his tone was filled with coldness. Everyone was silent when they heard this. Mu Yuyang was the leader of this batch. No one dared to oppose what he said. The saint rank trial participant is not the strongest. Not long after Mu Yuyang finished speaking, Lin Dao, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke. His tone was stern and full of killing intent. Everyone was slightly stunned when they heard this. As the second strongest person in Realm in Valley, Lin Dao's target was Mu Yuyang. Back then, Lin Dao had barely entered Realm in Valley, and he couldn't even be compared to Yuan Tianmu. But now, with his incomparably tough and hard-working strength, Lin Dao had surpassed the 8 or even 9 shining trial participants that they had obtained in the past. The latter had used facts to prove that talent was not the only thing. It was the same for the saint rank trial participant. Hence, most of the people in Realm in Valley regarded Mu Yuyang as an insurmountable person. However, Lin Dao saw him as a target that he had to surpass. After hearing Lin Dao's words, a chuckle was heard from the main peak where Mu Yuyang was. There was no contempt in his laughter. This was undoubtedly the importance he attached to Lin Dao. 2 monstrous geniuses. Sensing the collision of their ki, everyone was slightly surprised. Lin Dao's ki was full of killing intent and fearlessness, whereas Mu Yuyang's ki was elegant and otherworldly, like an immortal. Both of their ki dissipated at the first moment, but the residual waves emitted from them shattered the surrounding clouds. Mu Yuyang is elegant, Lin Dao is awe-inspiring, Xiao Yi. Yuan Tianmu stood on top of his main peak, looking at the 3 main peaks in the distance. His heart was slightly moved. The strength of these 3 people was undoubtedly the top 3 in Realm in Valley. Their styles were also very different, although Mu Yuyang was the strongest now. But just like what Lin Dao had said, the saint rank trial participant, not the strongest, it could be easily seen from the importance Mu Yuyang attached to Lin Dao. The Heaven Pillar Peak of Yunluo Academy was the place where the elders resided. It was the highest peak of the Yunluo Academy, and it was also the holy land in the hearts of all the students. It had a majestic aura, and it was a work of art. It was awe-inspiring and imposing. At this moment, in the main hall of the Heaven Pillar Peak, many elders were gathered, and they were sitting in their respective seats in an orderly manner. On the main seat of the main hall, an old man with white hair was sitting there calmly. He didn't have a single trace of imposing manner from his body. At a glance, he seemed to be unfathomable, just like a 10,000-year-old underworld. Today, I have summoned all of you here. It is an important matter. The old man's gaze swept across the elders below. His dignified expression caused everyone's hearts to tremble. Among them, most of the elders didn't know about Xiaoyan's arrival. Therefore, when they heard what the great elder said, they looked at the great elder with doubt. The saint rank trial participant from 9 years ago is here. The great elder raised his head and spoke slowly. His words were like a clap of thunder, causing all the elders to explode. Saint rank trial participant, isn't he dead? How is that possible? Didn't that bead shatter back then? We all saw it with our own eyes. How could it be fake? When the elders heard this, they were all shocked. Some of the elders who were emotionally moved already stood up and practically roared out. The great elder quietly sat at the head seat and waited for the elders to calm down. Only then did he slowly stand up and sweep his gaze across the entire place. He said in a deep voice, "Although the bead is broken, the Saint rank trial participant has still come." This was an undeniable fact. Elder Shao and the others had witnessed it with their own eyes. It can't be wrong, and that Saint rank trial participant. It perfectly completed all 3 of the trials. As soon as the words left his mouth, it caused the expressions of some of the elders below to change. Then, their expressions became excited, and their faces flushed red. Since the great elder was so sure, then there was no doubt about it. No matter what, the Yunluo Academy would have 1 extra Saint rank trial participant. As for the 4 academies competition, 3 years later, they would have 1 more Saint rank trial participant. Without a doubt, it would be a great help to them. Elder Shao has personally inspected those 3 trials, and there were no mistakes. Therefore, I've gathered everyone here to discuss the reward for Xiao Yan. Upon hearing this, Elder Shao suddenly stood up and cupped his fists at the great elder. After that, he said in a clear voice, when Mu Yuyang completed the trial, he was given the treatment of a 2nd grade elder. His younger sister had also received a lot of favors. Now, putting aside Xiao Yan, Gu Yuan came to the academy with Xiao Yan. Zhu Kun, Xiao Xuan Kai Lin and the other 3 were all very talented. I believe some of the elders have heard about it. After a pause, Elder Shao continued. Therefore, my suggestion is to give Xiao Yan the treatment of a 2nd grade elder. Gu Yuan and the other 3 will give a 3rd grade elder the treatment. In this way, although it will increase the pressure on the academy, the benefits it will bring to their strength will be immeasurable. After hearing Elder Shao's words, all the elders sank into deep thought. They naturally had no objections to Xiao Yan's reward, but they were still arguing about the treatment of Gu Yuan and the other 3 elders. Isn't it a little too much for 4 people? The Academy's Spirit Origin formation will be competed for every month. If 4 3rd grade elders are promoted at once, it means that 4 Spirit Origin formations will be reduced to their personal belongings. Isn't that a little inappropriate? A man with a face full of stubble suddenly stood up and frowned. Why did Elder Shao frown? But he did not refute. If 4 Spirit Source formations were reduced at once, it would greatly reduce the time for most of the Yunluo Academy's students to cultivate. The bearded man's words resonated with the other elders. All of them looked at the great elder. This wasn't a small matter, and the final decision had to be decided by the great elder. It's simple. Give the 4 of them a month to prepare. In 1 month, everyone can challenge them. If they really have the ability, they can do many things in this month, including making them stronger. The great elder spoke slowly with a calm expression. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.